Right, I'm delighted to be joined now by David Moran of Kerins O'Rahillys and Kerry ahead of Saturday's 2022 AIB Munster GA Football Senior Club Championship final against Newcastle West of Limerick. The AIB GA All-Ireland Club Championship features some of the #toughest players from communities all across Ireland. Now it's in its 32nd year supporting the Club Championships. AIB is extremely proud to once again celebrate the communities that play a role in sustaining our national games. David, good morning to you. How are you getting on?
I'm good. How are yourselves?
I hope your emoji game is strong, is it?
I won't even go into that one. I'm out of my depth, but judging by your conversation.
How many different team WhatsApp groups are you in as a matter of interest?
There's kind of the two tiers. There's the ones with the management in it and the ones with the players only.
That's the one with the better crack, I'd imagine. You can say what you want.
I suppose I have two to club and two with Kerry.
Right, and the ones with the managers, is that like literally lads training is this time, or do they actually send in, is that where you get your videos of analysis and stuff as well?
No, we've a couple of different platforms for that. It's kind of general logistics, a lot of it, or if there's people unsure about training, if they want to have a message that management, it wouldn't just be management, it'd be background staff, or it'd be everyone, but it's more logistics more than anything.
And is that a pain? Like, is that, because that's obviously changed since you came in first, being always contactable all the time, and the way you can turn off whether or not you were last seen. That's another like little dangerous thing on somebody's last seen 4:10. It's like, oh, good night.
Yeah, I know. During my career, was some days the emails came in and it kind of blew people's minds. But no, it was. It's fine actually. It's you know by what group it's going into, how serious the message is going to be roughly, and
how much attention you need to pay to it, basically.
Yeah.
Has that changed, David, since you started in Kerry, or even with Kerins as well? Like the technology in the dressing room and young lads on the phones and that sort of thing. I'm sure it's developed.
Hugely. It's big thing. Like even just from team bonding and stuff, you might have no phones, or there was a fine system for being on your phone, or while we're eating, or there was that kind of stuff. But it is changed, and the technology in terms of analysis and stuff has changed hugely, but it's for the better. But yeah, it's funny now. Like you might have analysis video and stuff now half time, which you wouldn't have dreamed of when even for the first quarter of my career, not to mind the first when I started.
And were you always keen to embrace that, like the whatever data you could get, or did it take you a while to sift through and go, these are the bits that are really important to me?
I wouldn't have would have been. I think I would have been, for that kind of stuff. I would have been very much keen to, if I could see you could see the improvement in that side of things very easily. The how it could improve your game and extra analysis and all that kind of stuff. I might have been a bit slower to band work and some of that kind of stuff to adopt that. But in terms of the video stuff, the other different things, the improvements of technology, I would have been a good user of it, or I certainly wouldn't have been resistant to it anyway.
Is the band work the stat sports stuff, the sports bra, and the information about how far you've run and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like it has to be done. Like it's important, but I think it's like there's some guys are saying that they'd nearly be more upset if they forgot their bands in their boots, and I certainly didn't fit in that camp.
Are you enjoying playing football at the moment?
Yeah, it's great. So look, we've had a great year in terms of success and winning stuff, and it's always easier when you're winning. But like it doesn't feel like I've been on the go nearly 12 months. Which is obviously a great thing. But yeah, I definitely am, and I do like the split seasons. I like going away for Kerry and training hard, and being all in there, and I like coming back to the club and going all in there. I used to like as much when the serious club stuff, football would be in April, and you're trying to play football the weekends with the club at a very high level, but you're still trying to get a bit of work done during the week with Kerry, and you're kind of just. I used to enjoy that as much, but I like now that once Kerry's finished, you're back in, it's all the club, I'm enjoying that. You're enjoying the fun, the trainings, and I suppose at the moment we're having a good run, there's great buzz in the community, you're able to enjoy all that funny, fully.
I know you've been saying that I guess the Kerry decision going back next year is up in the air until the club finishes. Lee Keegan kind of on with us recently saying something similar. Is it a case, David, for yourself that you know what you want to do in your head, but you, I guess, don't want to verbalise it and commit to it until the club is over, or are you completely on the fence as to the intercounty return?
No, I haven't put not like that I committed to either way, or that I was put under pressure to it. I just kind of was like, look, just don't even go address it too hard, and then at Christmas sit down and go through the pros and cons. I think that if I'd finished in October time with the club, it would have been a different decision, because I would have had to have made my decision earlier to see if I could either keep myself fit for the next 3 months with no football to try and get at that level. But at the moment, I'm still playing at a good level, and I'm still keeping the body taken over. So it's a case of like I don't have to make my decision now.
It's probably tough to step aside from intercounty as well when there's all Ireland's at the beck and call.
I think no matter when you finish up, you'll always have regrets whether you went too early or you went too late. I think there's no easy way of doing it.
I don't know if you on Saturday afternoons we have a Saturday panel discussion, and one of the clips that we have at the start is Niall O'Toole, who's a former world champion rower, and the clip that we picked from him is you should prolong. I'm going to mangle it now, but I'm paraphrasing. You should continue your sports career for as long as you can, because everything else after that is pretty shitty. Almost verbatim. And so we're going to make the case today for you to continue, because it's you're still playing really well. You can still influence games. It's a different type of influence maybe when you were at your absolute peak at 24, 25, 26, 27. But there's a lot to be said for people who set tones and set cultures within a group, that the responsibility isn't just the 70 minutes on the field of play. And maybe you've come to realise that as your career has gone on.
Yeah, it's look, this year was a very different year for me, just in terms of I was obviously injured for a lot of it, for the lot of the early part of it, and then coming back in, I got a break with guys getting injured and getting a chance, and I was able to hold my place. But it was still, I was a different player on the team than I might have been in prior years, and it was the other guys that were driving it on more than, say, my era. The guys I play with, a lot of them are gone. But so I kind of enjoyed this year in a funny way, in that I was kind of being not led by other guys, but I was very much enjoying seeing guys who were come through as great minors to really step up and be leaders, national leaders, and driving the team on. And I was enjoying being part of it, whether before I might have been trying to be one of the main guys, and that. So I did enjoy it in a funny way this year, and I do agree with you that when you get to the latter stage of your career, it's not all about being the main guy for the 70 minutes. That you do have I suppose, whether you like it or not, what the way you behave is representative of the career that the longevity that you've had. So it's look, there's a lot of factors to weigh up. A lot of it will come down to personal stuff. My wife's due a second child in February. Work is busy. I want to still be able to play at a level where I feel I'm competing. So there's a lot at play. It won't just come down to will I start, will I stop, will I be an impact sub or not? These kind of things. It won't just come down to that. It'll be a number of factors.
Yeah, there must be a huge level of anticipation as well about the quality of team that's there at the moment, because you've seen all of the great Kerry eras. You've lived it, like in your family life. You know exactly what everything has been like the whole way through, and it feels like this crop at the moment has as much potential as any of the teams that there ever has been.
Yeah, and that's like when I weigh up my decision, I'll be saying, look, I expect Kerry to be in the shake-up. I'm not saying they'll win it, but you expect them they'll be there. That you'll either be going to Croke Park, as a panel member or as a spectator. That'll be kind of a decision that you just have to expect. But I do think it's exciting times, and I feel very lucky that I've kind of been able to see both sides of it. I saw the Declan Sullivans and the Gooches, 4 or 5 nights a week, and now you're seeing the Shawnee Shays and the David Cliffords 4 nights a week. It's and I do feel very privileged in that, but it is exciting time. It's great seeing guys that, you won I know how many 4 or 5 minors in a row, and they're starting to, to become good seniors as opposed to just good minors. And getting over the line, I think, was a big thing for a lot of guys in the group this year, and you'll be expecting, that they'll be in the shake-up going forward. which I suppose they're going from the hunter to the hunted now, so it's always going to be a different chat. But yeah, like it is an exciting time for Kerry, absolutely.
Nice short season as well, over by next August. What's not to like about it? I think we're doing our best here for all the Kerry fans out there. We're doing our best. I do want to ask you about a sliding doors moment in your life that we were just reading about in the papers today. You were talking about the last time the club were in a final like this, and I didn't realise, but you and Tommy Walsh were essentially on the same trial in Australia. You were like, okay, thanks very much for coming out, David. Tommy stayed behind. Do you ever think about what life would have been like if you'd made that trial and stayed in Australia?
Yeah, so I went in 2008. We were in the Ireland final, and both of us were asked over to Australia, and I couldn't go because I had exams. So Tommy went over and did all the trials kind of in 08, and I'd say when we went back over in 09, they kind of had all their, like I said, they came back and they were kind of monitoring the National League games in 09 and that kind of stuff. And then, but they had kind of Tommy done all the testing and all the trials and everything. So they knew that Tommy was going to be, they were going to sign Tommy once he was happy to go. So when I went over in 2009, I know I was on there at the same time as Tommy trial-wise, but he'd already done the testing. He'd already done, hit all the figures that he needed to hit in terms of different distances, times, that kind of stuff. So I went over, but it was funny when I went over, they kind of had me scouted as a different kind of player. Like, I mean, I got all the gear and it was medium, like, and I was like, Jesus, this is very tight. And then, so it was kind of like, I ended up almost competing with Tommy for the same position because we were both similar. Well, he was obviously much stronger, but, so it worked out kind of funny that way. And, like it was, I think I had to do the 3K or the 1K in certain time, or else the 20-meter sprint in under 3 seconds or something. But I was close in both, but I didn't get one under. So I remember I got called on a Thursday into the manager's office, and he said, "Look, you're not going to get a contract. We're going to you have a couple of choices. You can stay on and prove us wrong, or you can we'll pay for you to go on holidays around Australia." And I said, "Look, my dad is training the local team here. We're in the Munster final, so I need you to get me on a flight to Ireland as soon as you can." And yeah, I think I ended up getting 3 or 4 flights to try and get into Dublin and got down. But the way the game went, I'd be better off missing it. But I not that I think about if I'd stayed there, because I kind of gave everything I had. I think if I got after the contract, I probably would have signed. But it didn't work out too bad.
No, obviously it didn't. It's just, it is a totally different life.
Yeah. But I enjoyed. I love the professional side of it. Like the weather wasn't bad either. But yeah, like it's, and then professional sports isn't all it's cracked up to be as well. I suppose I was over on trial, seeing the best of it. They're trying to convince you this is the be all and end all. There's a lot of downsides to professional sport as well, and obviously I'd been very close to Tommy when he was there, and you'd see the injuries that he went through, and at times you're out of favourite team, and it's an all-consuming bubble in the professional sports. At least if things aren't going well with Kerry, at least I have my work, my family are close, that kind of stuff. It's a different ball game on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's a brutal conversation, isn't it? You couldn't do these 2 things that we need you to do, and so therefore off you go.
Yeah, and that was I was surprised about at the time, like, because skills wise I was able to I was fairly happy at what I was doing with the oval ball, but it didn't even matter. It was just like, can't do the 3K under 3 minutes, or the 1K under 3 minutes, or you can't do the 20 metres under 3 seconds. You got to do one or the other.
It's mad how life turns out as well, in that it's yourself and Tommy competing for a jersey thousands of miles away, when you consider your parents are very close. Yeah. They both went to the same school since Montessori as well, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's funny, but yeah, I was never going to win that one.
He is a beast, isn't he? It's like
that's very good.
Yeah, and obviously still a key player for you guys at the weekend.
Yeah, he's he played very well last week. And the county championship, we had a poor run. It's probably no coincidence that he was injured for it. Yeah, he's just even last year with Kerry, like, he was very good in training. He was, all the lads really looked up to him. So it's, I think I'd say Jason Foley was really sickened by the end of
it. David, I got in a bit of bother this week. We've been talking about the club for the last number of weeks on the show, but made the point this week, rashly in some quarters, I guess people have said that.
Go for it. Don't Shane. Come
don't
on.
Back down. Double down. Yeah. That essentially saying Kilmacud Crokes could well compete and perhaps win the Tailteann Cup.
You didn't say that. You said they would win the Tailteann Cup. You said it as ballsy as that. There was no could well compete. Come on.
Now, so my point to you, David, I guess, is my point, I suppose, was the quality of club football has increased dramatically, that it's become this remarkable thing between Kilmacud and Kilcoo and Corofin. And I guess it's slightly different when you look at divisional teams in Kerry, for example. But how do you think club teams, hypothetically, could compare, say in a Division 3 or a Division 4 at intercounty level?
It's very hard to know. It's a big statement, I'd say, they win Tailteann Cup.
Back me up here, David, come on.
I don't know, all I can see is down here in East Kerry, and a lot of the guys most of them would have played with Kerry at all age groups, and a lot of them would have been involved in Kerry setup and stuff, so you would have to think that a team like that would be competitive at some level. I don't know whether you would say that they're going to win. Would they compete in Division 3 or 4? I suppose some of them probably would. I don't know to what extent though. I don't know.
They take some scalps, I tell you.
See, your difficulty is you have to play against these teams again.
Yeah. I just, to be honest, I actually don't know. I think you could argue either way. They certainly have individuals who are, obviously very, very talented, but whether they'd be balanced enough to compete, over a league, I think would be the big thing for them.
Has club has the feeling in terms of training and sports science and conditioning around club level dramatically increased since you started? Yeah.
I think I actually think it was nearly the commitment side. It was nearly worse a couple of years ago. I think you saw all those, the charters and stuff being kind of leaked and stuff. I'm glad to say I think it's come back a little bit. That it's because there for a while, I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, it seemed to be just almost like the fun was being taken out of it. It was gone so serious. But I'd like to think that it's come back. But compared to where I started, when I came in, we had a quite good club team. We got to the county final in 2008. We were in the Munster Club final in 2009, and that kind of thing. So it would have been very, very serious, and we would have had a very good group of guys, knocking around Kerry under 21s and Kerry seniors at the time. So it would have been quite serious when I came in the club. But I'd say, as a general rule, the standard and commitment has definitely increased hugely. I'd say probably in Dublin even stuff with the use of the modern technology, I'd say is in a lot of the clubs. I'd say that's even a different level altogether as well.
Why do you think it's calmed down a bit in recent years?
I don't know how sustainable that was. I know if I was a club player and I was getting, the charters and your whole life was being revolved around it, I don't know, I think COVID comes in and you kind of get, a reality of, geez, there's more to this. I think that I just don't know. I think it was almost the fun side of it was being taken out. You weren't allowed nights out, you weren't allowed this, that, and the other. They were really not allowed to do stuff more than you were allowed. I just maybe thought that they were it was gone too serious, too intense, and I'm not sure the reward was there for it. I suppose the club football is in my idea is representing your community, representing the people you grew up with, having fun and playing sport. But I just thought it was gone too serious, and I just, maybe I'm wrong now, but I think in the last couple of years it seems to have come back a bit, thankfully.
And it feels like the split season is something that feeds into that, where that you can go hard for these 6 months of the year if you're a club player, and then you will have time off and you will be able to go on holidays and you will be able to organise family functions around a time of the year where you're not going to get frowned upon for missing a game.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. I think that it should be like that at club level. It should be taken serious for the period that you're in, an intense period, but it just can't be 12 months, and it can't just be putting in restrictions and sanctions for the sake of it. I do believe that it's club football is amazing. There's nearly there's a field in every town in Ireland, and it's the central part of the community, and it has to be fun. You have to want to play. It can't just be a chore that you feel you have to do something. You want to have people bursting to go on, like we guys coming back from Dubai in America to play in the game Sunday, and that's great. You guys coming from 7 hours away or 5 hours away to to want to play with our community, you know, and that's what it should be, as opposed to you can't do this, you can't do that.
The desire and heart is still clearly there for you, David, especially considering you were sent off in the semi-final against Aerogue a couple of weeks ago. Like, that sort of thing. I suppose from a leadership perspective, you almost have to be seen to be the Roy Keane of the team. You know, when you're at your age at club level, you need to be the one who's kind of setting the benchmark and giving them one.
Get in trouble. That's it.
Giving Mark Overmars a little kick, start of the game.
I think they look up to Tommy more than me anyway. So, but, I don't know. Like last week was disappointing. Just one of those things. I hope it's the first and last time in my career getting sent off.
Was that your first sending off in your career?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. So.
I don't mean to sound surprised, but it's just it's been
You're making out to be very, very dirty footballer.
But Gary Lineker of Gaelic Games, fair play. That's it's not an easy achievement to not get sent off. Like you talk about lads, especially the constant ribbing that goes on in matches. Like we saw the treatment that Padraig O'Hara had with David Clifford, for example. That seems to have crept into the game more and more. Like, so to, I guess, cope with that, especially for you in the middle of the park, and not get sent off or riled up, must take a little bit of self-control.
It's probably easier around the middle because I don't think there's as much verbals in the middle, because you're not standing beside a fella for the whole game. If you're inside the full back to full forward line, there's a lot of the game where you're just literally standing beside the fella beside you, and it's 1-on-1. But around the middle, you're kind of moving the whole time. I don't think there's as much of it. I'd say. I suppose if David Clifford's midfielder, he'd probably be getting plenty of it out there too. But it's a little bit easier out there. But it's funny. I was doing myself and the two Cliffords were at a local school here yesterday with the cup. And it was like random question selection, and of course it just came to me like, have you ever been sent off? I thought the two lads were going to fall off the stage.
More recently than people thought, yeah.
They're enjoying life. They're playing a lot of games this year, but I suspect you want to play games rather than be in training, because they'd be training anyway, right?
Yeah, like I'm trying to figure out, like, I mean, under the old system, you probably played the same amount of games. I mean, the same competitions were there. Just like you were just kind of playing them in between club, and I say you go do a blaster club back to county. You were still like all the competitions that we played in this year. At the moment, obviously, we've got further than we would have previously, but I think you're still playing the same amount of games. But absolutely, to answer your question, the more games, the better. Certainly, anyway, club level,
Two last quick comments. Moran would be an incredible loss if he was to leave the Kerry panel. He adds something that they currently don't have on the panel at that level, says William Doyle. I don't know if you want to. Yeah, good man, William. Is that the answer to that?
Yep.
Yeah. And then the last one was, why does David wear socks fully up to his knees? Unusual in GAA circles. It's like one of the kids in the audience.
Yeah, it's what happened. I'd say I just did it when I was young, and I just never stopped. That was kind of the main thing. It was probably fine. When Kieran was playing, he used to do it as well, so at least there was two of us. But he's gone now. It was more just a comfort thing, because I usually wear two pairs of football socks, and particularly if it was wet, I just find use on my boot. But it's literally was just a comfort thing, and then I just got to the page now that if I didn't do it, it'd be a bigger statement.
Nice easy one for you, Dave. But who's the greatest Kerry forward you've ever played with?
Jesus, no way I'm going there.
We won't tell anyone what you said.
No.
I'll give you an easier one. Who's the greatest midfielder you've ever played against? The Dubs have had a few.
Yeah, I suppose either James McCarthy, Brian Fenton.
What makes the likes of McCarthy and Fenton so hard to play against?
Their athleticism was incredible. Obviously, they were playing in a great team, which makes it very difficult to, you couldn't. You're playing against guys, say, of a lesser team, and if you nullify that person, the whole team stops. Where you kind of didn't have too much help with Dublin, because everybody had to mark a good guy, and I suppose James was incredibly athletic, and you couldn't take your eyes off him because he'd score, so you were trying to obviously play your own game, but you just couldn't. You couldn't, and someone like me, he was more athletic than I was, same as Brian Fenton, so that I couldn't afford to let him get a yard on me, because I wasn't going to make it back. So I thought there were two different players. Like, I think James Carter could probably play anywhere, and Brian Fenton then just did everything so easy. He was obviously a bigger guy and a better athlete than I was, but obviously a great decision maker. So I just think you looked at there's a lot of different strengths that they had, but they're probably two of the best, the best 5 or 6 or 7 guys of the last of the our generation, and they were just top quality footballers, really.
I actually think McCarthy is the best footballer on that Dublin team at any point over that era. When the careers are all kind of held up at the end, when we look back on that period, I think at the end, whatever the metrics you use, you're going to be like, actually, he is the best, because he was there for all of it, and he was always impactful, and he's still impactful at the very end.
Yeah, and I remember, say, when Tommy came back in, he was the guy that was put back on Tommy at times, and they needed it, or something happened midfield, he was put out midfield, he seemed to be the guy that the thing. And I played the international rules with him, and you just knew that's just, having coffee at field, you just say, this guy's a guy you definitely go to the trenches with, I thought he was, the two guys, they were two fantastic players.
A couple of decent additions back into the Dublin panel again, for David in Mannion and McCarthy. Did that make the WhatsApp groups?
Yeah, it actually didn't. I suppose the timing of it probably was good in the sense that we were probably all out still celebrating. So they didn't get into the group. No, but I was actually surprised how young they were. When I saw their ages and stuff, I was expecting them to be older, but they're still very much in their prime. So they'll be a huge addition to Dublin too. Fantastic players, yeah.
Adds a bit of juice to next year as well.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we wish you the very best of luck, particularly with the second child. That's you think you've got life handled when you've got one and you understand how things are going, but number 2, that's another bomb going off in your life. So I wish you the very best of luck, and we hope to see the socks pulled up for much longer. David, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Thanks, man. No, Adam. Cheers.
It's David Moran there, head of the AIB Munster Club final.